Well, it's finally the day, guys. I can finally talk to you about The Messenger. This is a game that's being done by a developer by the name of Sabotage. Devolver Digital is publishing it. It's coming first to Switch and PC. I haven't seen any talk of other systems, but this game, I'm going to talk to you a bit about it today so you can get an idea of what it is and if it's for you. But I just want to let you know this is an outstanding game. It is a game that I really like, and right now, it's my indie game of the year currently. So I'm going to let you guys in that right away if you're trying to figure out if it's worth it. It's $19.99 and it's out the 30th. So in 2 days, it will actually be purchasable. And we're going to talk a bit about it here. Now, The Messenger, as you can see, is on the front there. That is the icon, because I know a lot of you guys want to see the icon, and that'll get you guys a good look at it. And we'll jump in now and start playing it. So here we are in The Messenger. Now, I'm going to play through a bit, and I'm going to get to a better spot for you guys so you can kind of see parts of it. There are some parts I don't want to show also because it would be considered, I guess, spoiler kind of. So I'm actually going to play through a bit here, get us to a good spot, and then we'll kind of look around and I'll show you guys some of the cool features of the game and some stuff you can do in it, and why I do think it's worth a purchase and a play. So I'm getting a little closer to the end of the game. This area you're seeing here is actually an area that you'll be at fairly early on, so it's nothing crazy or spoilers, but there is, of course, a mechanic that we did see very early on. It was one of their selling points, was that you actually travel forward and backward in time. And the way you do that is there are these portals like this one, for example, that you walk through, and at this point I am back in time, so I'm in the past, and it uses 8-bit visuals. But when you travel through a portal, or they have other kind of things set up that will kind of shift you between times, in like real time, it will shift to 16-bit visuals. So check this out. I'm actually going to go through this portal, and it will pretty much change the world around me right away. So it does it very quickly, and you can kind of see that bottom there actually opened up a bit. You see how that changes and it opens? So as you play through the game, different things will open up depending on the world you're in, or I guess the time you're in, and it's kind of a neat thing to do. So, for example, there's a little hook there. You have a grappling hook that you can use that'll launch me across through the portal, and that actual piece of like rock there will disappear. So check it out. Boom. It uses this in different puzzles throughout. Now, when you're first playing the game, it's going to be weird, and I'm going to tell you why. When I was first playing the game, it starts out as a Ninja Gaiden game pretty much, completely. Like, there's no Metroidvania when you start or anything. It starts off, despite them kind of talking about it as a Metroidvania, by the way, it starts off as a straight up run, like, right the entire time kind of game. And I was playing it, and I was like, oh, this is weird. I thought there was supposed to be like Metroidvania aspects to this thing, and I'm getting further and further, and I was getting confused, and then all of a sudden, the game changed completely. It's weird, it's crazy, and I wanted to talk to developers at some point, just ask them if this was their intention, but you start out as an 8-bit game, and you're playing through it, right? And then all of a sudden you shift to 16-bit, and it turns into kind of a Metroidvania style. Like, I know Metroid technically kind of had that, but Super Metroid is when I really remember it kicking off like that. And I was wondering if, like, they were trying to show, like, the evolution from, like, the standard 8-bit to the 16 and 32-bit era. I was curious if that was, like, their intention, or if it was just a coincidence or something, or if I was just reading too into it. It's very possible as well. So, you basically transfer back and forth in time, and I'm going to show you guys the map. There is a full map, as I'm kind of going through here. I'm going through a portion I've gone through a couple times, so you guys don't get too spoiled, but there is a full map. There's a lot of stuff to explore, and there are areas that you open up as you play through it. So the map you're going to get right away is going to look different because it won't have a lot of things changed or opened or there's a lot of stuff to explore in this game. So if you're playing the first hour, 2 hours, and it feels like, oh, I thought this game was going to be longer, it changes drastically. It has one of those twists in the middle, and it's a very cool thing that they do. So when it happened, I was very excited because I was getting real worried that it was going to completely mess it all up, and it wasn't going to be very good. I was really worried. I was like, oh man, are they going to do this where it's like 3 hours long? No, it's much longer than that. I would say I haven't finished the game actually yet. But I would say it's probably, and I'm probably guessing at this because I haven't finished it, I want to say it's probably 10, 12, maybe 13 hours. There's also stuff to complete. So let me show you what I mean. There is actually a setup here where, here we go, where you can go through, right, and you have these medallions to collect. I have 3 or 4 from here, for example, and that's like the completionist run, I believe, because it does change drastically as you go through, where it'll make it'll kind of make different things for you to challenge for. So you'll try to get those green medallions as you're playing through. And it supposedly opens some overpowered item, is how they describe it. They're very aware of themselves in this game. Now, you do have a lot of stuff you can upgrade in the game as well. So you have like a full skill tree that you upgrade. There's like at a lot of the save points, you get chances to upgrade different things, whether it's your health. You have throwing stars that you can throw. And one of the cooler features, and one that they use heavily in this game for puzzles, is I believe they call it an airwalk. So when you hit something, let me actually go through here so I can do that and then kind of go. There we go. Okay. So when you hit something, you have an additional chance to jump. Now let me show you what I mean. Let's see. I'll actually grab you, knock him off, and we'll kind of go up here. So if I get to a certain spot where I have that as a puzzle, like right here, for example, I can't climb on the wall right there. They specifically have it set up. Now I can take that airway up if I want with my little wingsuit, but what I'm going to try to do here is, actually no, I do have to go up this way. I have to go up this way because I have to drop down from here. So if you hit something, you have a chance afterwards to jump again, essentially. Every time you hit something, you have a chance to jump. So I can hit something and then jump again. So if I fall down here, I have these guys that will give me shards that I use to upgrade, and I'll hit one and then jump. So you hit, you jump, you hit, you jump, you hit, you jump. And you have this like little cloud animation underneath of you. And you kind of technically do it all day. In fact, there are some interesting puzzles where you almost have to do that most times. There is no floor in some spots. You're just hitting and jumping, hitting and jumping. So the game is pretty difficult at times. Not all the time. There are times where you kind of get through it. Some of the bosses were hit or miss. And that's the one thing I kind of miss when it turns into a Metroidvania exploration kind of game. It loses like all the boss battles. You pretty much get all of your boss battles out of the way in the beginning, and then it kind of sends you on exploration to find certain items that let you do a certain thing in the game without spoiling it. I know that's very generic statement, but that's what you do. You're given tasks to do stuff, and I was actually kind of remembering, I guess I would compare it to, if you look at something like Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time. You know, in the beginning, you have 3 temples you go to, and when that game was first out, I thought I was almost done the game. Because I got all 3 things, I was going to fight the final boss, and I was like, okay, I'm almost done this game already. This was a fun little adventure. And then you go to like the Dark World, or in Ocarina of Time, you go forward in time, and then the game just hits you with a bunch more stuff to do. That's what this did. And that's why that kind of gave me that feeling of, wow, they tricked you a little bit. They made you think you were finishing up the game because it's an 8-bit style, you know, running and jumping and slashing like Ninja Gaiden from the NES, which it plays just like that. It's very good about that, actually. And it plays like that, and it's fun, but then you're like, okay, this ended very quickly, and then it just hits you with it out of nowhere. You're like, whoa, okay. This is like a whole like map to explore and everything, so I like that a lot, actually. Let me jump to a different area real quick because I'm going to run into an area that's kind of spoiler-filled, so I'm going to jump to the next area. So the part that I'm trying to avoid showing you guys is like the central hub area, because there are some story parts to that, and I don't want you guys to get anything ruined too much for you. We're in like an ice part right now. And you can kind of see what I'm talking about. There's really not a lot of floor below me, and it kind of tasks you with doing those jumps and everything. I didn't want to go through the main, like the hub world part, because that, like I said, could spoil something for some of you, so I didn't want to do all that. But we're in like an ice world, and they do have a lot of different world types. Like they have underwater world, for example, where you kind of swim your way around. They do some cool stuff. In fact, some of them, when you get to this point in the game, are kind of like temples almost, from like a Zelda puzzles, just no boss, which is the only thing that after you get through some of like the basic stuff, like a Ninja Gaiden game, which is the beginning, when you're doing all 8-bit, then you go 16-bit, and it just feels like they get rid of all of the bosses, which was the one disappointment for me, was that they got rid of like all the bosses. And I haven't finished the game yet. I think I'm like 80% through the game right now, minus a lot of the challenges that I'll probably go back and do to figure out what that overpowered item is. I'm gonna go back through and do that, but I'm very curious if there are more bosses that I'm missing, but I don't think so. I fought a lot of the bosses leading up to this, and then that's the one thing that's kind of disappointing for me, and this part's actually kind of hard, is that there is no boss battles that are obvious anymore. And the enemy types, that's something else. The enemy types, I'm kind of going to stuff that the game could use more work on if they do a sequel or something. The enemy types are very similar across the world. So you have like these characters here that just shoot fireballs and they're one hit. They have enemies already kind of like that. They just kind of change what they look like. They have enemies that throw like arching like projectiles kind of, and they have them, and they're similar in all the different worlds as well. But your character is well equipped with different weapons. You have throwing stars, you have a glider that you get like this that's pretty cool, and these are things you acquire as you play through it. So it does have that Metroidvania style gameplay to it. And I must say, I was actually pretty hooked on this game playing through it. And I'm going to keep going through it, and I'll probably end up 100% of the game because I really like the way it plays. It is a Ninja Gaiden game that's like brought up to like 2018. Like that's what it is. It's very, very cool. I like the upgrade paths that do open up. Oh, I got hit by that. Further as you go through, so it continues to kind of open up. And I like the feel of the game. The controls are very responsive, and for $20, I must say I'm so happy too, because I wanted this game to be good. And yeah, there are some weaknesses in the enemy type and the lack of boss battles after the first like third of the game, but otherwise I like the game as it is now, and I think it is completely worth the $20. So it is out on Steam, and it is out on oops, there we go. It's out on Steam, and it's out on, this was a challenge I did. It's out on Steam, and it's out on Switch starting on the 30th. It is $19.99, and I have to tell you guys, I think it's worth it. I would pick it up. I'm glad this game turned out good. I like the transition from 8-bit to 16-bit, where you go from the past to the future. Handheld mode, it's not a graphically intensive game or anything. The handheld mode looks pretty much the same. No issues there. And yeah, guys, check it out. The Messenger, I've talked to you guys about it already plenty, I think, before, but it's a good game. I like it, and I would check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this early look at The Messenger, make sure you give the video a like. If not, dislike it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.